So, Vicki, what are you what are you seeing and foresee as the future of AlzAuthors?
That it lives on without us. That would be the greatest thing is if when
Hmm.
we're done being part of it, that
Yeah.
it lives on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
How about for you, Jean?
I would agree with Vicki that it goes on and continues to help people. It will change, in whatever form it goes on. I just hope it continues to support caregivers.
Absolutely. How about for you, Marianne?
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement on that because we all knew that the day would come when we would not no longer, be a team anymore, and not everybody. We didn't realize that everybody would retire at the same time, but that's how it worked out. In the midst of celebrating our 10th anniversary, we came to the conclusion that we needed to take a change. So we are very grateful that it has found a home with All Home Care Matters, and where we feel it will be supported and nurtured and continue in the way in which we've nurtured it.
Yeah.
I never thought that it was my plan that I would continue with AlzAuthors as my like retirement job or my project at well after to my retirement, which just started like a month ago.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when we decided that we were going to disband our team, um, really kind of threw me
I think
because
it threw all of us.
I didn't want it to end. And then, with our, the decision to move it to the Home Care Matters platform, I think it gives it like a whole new life. So we're very grateful for that.
Oh,
Lance, and
yeah.
that you've given us this opportunity. Because otherwise, the other plan was we had enough money to just let the website live on until the money ran out, and that would have been the end of it.
Right. Yeah. And I will say, to you ladies, I just, and you've known this for years now. I just have the greatest respect and admiration for each of you, and also, for all's authors and the work you've done. And, when given this, enormous, vote of confidence to, continue all's authors into your retirement with my team and we're very honored and humbled by it. And just listening to your stories, it just really resonates with me because just like us with All Home Care Matters and you with All's Authors, we didn't start this to make it a job as far as like an income. We started it to help these families. For us, we were doing what we're doing with All Home Care Matters, except locally and regionally. And then COVID hit, and we said, how can we still help these caregivers out there? We're doing it with our company, but how can we reach more people on a greater level? And then, we started All Home Care Matters because we wanted to have a place where, like with Gene, we don't want somebody to sit there and feel like they're the only ones in the world going through this, because as we know, there's, 64 plus million people out there caring for a loved one, most of them with, some form of dementia. And, being able to, keep in the integrity and the vision of all's authors going, uh, is something we take great responsibility for, and we're looking forward to it. And I just have the greatest respect for each of you, and for the other ladies as well. I would say I know the three of you probably better than the others, but everyone at All's Authors, the motive was the heart, right? It wasn't to get rich, it wasn't to be famous, it was to help. And I've always said, your success comes from your motive, and if you have the right motives, I think the success follows. And you just look at where All's Authors has came in 10 years, it's incredible. I think, Marianne, you said this in a meeting we had the other day where, and I've repeated it since then, All's Authors is a one of a kind. And I don't mean a one of a kind and it's so great it's one of a kind. That's true, but it's a one of a kind in the sense no other illness or disease has a site dedicated to over 400 titles and resources and blogs and podcasts just to that illness or whatever the affliction may be, except for All's Authors. It's a trusted home for people that can find that, that support and that bond and those relationships with others that have gone through it or who are going through it. And I just think it's incredible.